Hey, what's up, guys? We are back today with a new episode on the podcast. We have a super talented artist in the house, producer, multi instrumentalist, and all around sonic innovator, Josh Teed. If you don't know the name, please get familiar. I remember playing with him in 2018 in New Hampshire at a pub. And it was the beginning of our journeys. And now he is absolutely killing it. He just got off tour with Poshy. He's going on tour with select dates with Daily Bread. He has his own curated headline tour that he's carving out right now, and a lot of new music and expansions on his universe in the works. Currently, he is known for blending bass music with like live violin, crazy manipulation, and otherworldly music influences. That is the best way I can say it. And if it doesn't make sense to you, you honestly just have to go and listen to his music. He's carved out a really, really unique space in the dance music scene. His sound is super immersive, emotional, and incredibly memorizing. And he's focused really right now on building these extremely unique experiences for his fan base and his followers. So we get right into everything in this conversation, everything from his creative process to his outlooks on the world and everything in between. So let's just hop into it. Remember to keep up with exclusive content and ad-free episodes on my Patreon at patreon.com/this is Lizzie Jane. Share this episode, like this episode, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you like what we're doing here, we spread by word of mouth. So, I appreciate you. And welcome back to the Lizzie Jane podcast. We are here with special guest Josh T.
Pull up my selector. Play back, John.
Josh T, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm so glad we could finally make this happen.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. How's life been?
Life's been good. Life's been good. I mean, aside from the crazy state of the world, it's hard to like take your focus away from that a little bit sometimes, but
Sure.
I've been able to put a lot of time and energy into the projects I'm working on right now.
Absolutely. And it seems like you just got off the Apache tour, which obviously I would say for the lane that you're in and the live elements and what Apache has literally accomplished, which is astounding. He's like the perfect audience for you. And I'm sure it's really cool to go on tour with someone like him.
Yeah, it seemed like a really great fit. It's just really inspiring to be around that crew, to see an artist who puts that much intention and creative effort into his project is really something special. And I think they have something really amazing working there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I feel like that's what you've done. I want to rewind because for people listening, they probably have no idea that we've ever played a show together, but we played a show together circa
That was 5 years ago, I think. 6 years?
18 even?
It had to be 19.
It was the first year that I did anything. And we were in
Manchester, New Hampshire.
holy
Yep.
shit. Oh my God. And I remember walking in and we were in a pub and they had set up a stage and set up a sound system and you were just jamming on your violin. And I was like, whoa, this is so dope. This is awesome. And something just like Apache, you kind of just have stuck to your vision and no one really does what you're doing. And I think that probably has to feel pretty cool.
Yeah, it's what I'm shooting for. It just feels like we're in a really, I don't want to say condensed, that's not the right word for it, but a really saturated industry of a lot of the same music and the same kind of sound. And I feel like you have to push yourself creatively to get outside of that box and challenge yourself to see what more you can do with it and find something that's really unique to yourself also. That really goes a long way.
Definitely. And somewhat running parallel to artists like Josh Teed, or not Josh Teed, Jason Leach. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Josh Teed, Jason
No,
Leach.
it's so funny you say that though. Jason was the first person I ever collabed with 5 years ago, 6 years
Really?
back. Yeah.
No way. Well, he's also someone where classical background, picked up an instrument, honed the craft of the instrument, and now how can I make this work for me in the space that I desired to be in? So take me kind of all the way back because I would love to know how you got started and what inspired you to like what other artists or projects like inspired you to do what you do as an individual?
Okay, yeah. So I started playing violin when I was 4. My mom was a violin teacher and used to run a school in Florida, in Jacksonville, where I grew up. And so like it was pretty much non-optional at that point. So I started doing classical, and then we went on to bluegrass and jazz and Celtic from there. And then after high school, I kind of put it down for a little bit. My attention was on other stuff. And then I went to my first music festival. I think it was in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, and I saw Emancipator in the Emancipator ensemble, and their violinist Ilya was amazing, and just did things that I'd never seen anybody do with a violin before. It really like sparked a creative fire under me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since then, I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years, 7 years, and like putting out music routinely for 5 years now. And I feel like it's gone through so much evolution over the time that I've been doing it. And I really love that. You know, I'm glad I haven't pigeonholed myself into a certain sound, into a certain style, and just give myself the freedom to explore within the realms of creativity and just kind of do whatever I'm feeling at the time. Cause like I started out on world based stuff, kind of like up the closey vibe. And then it turned into making like heavier bass music after that. And then it went back on like a really chill vibe for a second too, right after that. And now I'm kind of at this point where I feel like I've really honed in the sound that I'm shooting for this next like year, 2 years or so. And it feels really good. I feel like there's plenty of more room to explore after that too. Yeah.
It's all like part of the journey. I
Mhm.
think it's one of those things where you're either in it to sprint or you're in it for the long haul. And I think people who have a musical background and have done something different and unique off the bat know they have taken the path less traveled.
Oh, it's
And
the long haul for
yeah,
sure.
you
Yeah.
know, it's for the long haul. But then you get to create these universes and these different like eras or quote unquote chapters in your project that have allowed you to grasp fans and tour with artists in all of those different subgenres, but still like stay unique to you. And I don't know if that's due to a live element. I don't know if that's due to just the individual themselves, but every time I see someone that has an instrument or a voice that's predominant in their music, they really have established like a playing ground to not get pigeonholed.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really cool out that if you kind of come from a difficult or different musical background, it's lovely to pursue something in EDM because we have so many options. It's like, you know, sticking within the confinement of 5 different instruments, your guitar, your violin, your bass, your drums, your keys, and then just saying, that's it. You throw that all out the window when you start producing in a DAW. And you work in Logic? You work
FL Studio.
in FL Studio.
Yeah, I'm a lifer.
FL boy. Okay. All right. Okay. Why did you pick FL?
Man, one of my old friends, Jackson, growing up was just learning FL at the time, and he just gave me his key to it, and I've had FL since. And that's been it. Yeah, I mean, it just feels like I've got it down to a really good workflow in FL now, and going into Ableton or switching to any other DAW would be just kind of detrimental to the progress that I'm making. I'll have
For
to, like,
sure.
yeah.
It all like speaks the same language, just the way that you learn it is really, really different. And I think the workflow for people like I know Jason's in Logic, I think.
I don't know.
Or Logic or Able or yeah, I don't know, Logic or Ableton. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But he's like, I started in this and I think when somebody's very attached to an instrument and then they get in the DAW, it's like this whole new world. And
Yeah.
whatever you can find that works, you just stick with it and you
Yeah.
keep on building and you keep on moving. And in addition to like the huge tours that you've been a part of, you're about to start with Daily Bread. You've also been doing your own curated events, which I think in the last 5 years, you've seen a lot of artists at all different points in their career start to do these curated events that aren't as dependent on talent buyer, promoter, venue, kind of being at the mercy of whoever's calling the shots. And you get to really create this experience for fans. And I think right now people are just fans of the experience. So why did you kind of choose to go that route? And just like tell me about the events in general.
Yeah. So over the years on headline shows that I've played, there's been so many instances where the opening acts, the sound that they're putting out just doesn't align with the vibe of the music that I'm shooting for. And that's I don't know, it's a big vibe killer for me. to be honest. So to be able to put together the whole lineup with artists whose music I really appreciate and I think fit well with the sound that I'm pushing for really makes it more of a cohesive experience. So that was one of the main focuses for it. And then also it ties right into the string of EPs and other projects that I have coming down the road later this year. So it's really thematically kind of centered around that. Like we're going to lengths at these shows to like really make it an experience. Like we bring in a bunch of candles and a bunch of tapestries to like go around the room and a bunch of other elements like little plants and pillars and all kinds of things, like all the way down to the visuals that are all like tied into the EP art and everything. It's all like very fantasy fiction kind of themed, and it's meant to bring you back to another place.
That's super, super sick. And I totally get that. And I think that is very much so why you see a lot of curated events within the like experimental bass lane pick everybody from the start to finish, because I think we've all been to shows where somebody's going super, super hard at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And then it's like the headliner comes on and they're not super hard and their discography doesn't really fit that. So to curate that full lineup again is, you know, not only putting on people that you're a fan of their own music, but it's helping you shape the night for your fans.
Yeah, and make it as cohesive as possible.
For sure. And
Yeah.
it takes a lot of effort because you're bringing in the artists, you're kind of creating. Are you like handpicking the venues? Like what's the actual process of it?
So we, over the years of touring, have been able to build up some really great relationships with some awesome promoters around the country. So we did 5 curated stops, all with promoters that we've worked with in the past that have strong relationships with. And yeah, they're pretty much to the point where they believe in the creative vision that I have for the project and are willing to give us the space that they usually work with to try and put that together. And it's been really special.
Awesome. I mean, it's a very cool thing to see all of that come to fruition, because
Yeah,
I
it
think
takes a village.
it takes a
Yeah,
village. And
absolutely.
I think that's like a testament too to people who are on your team that are not yourself. I think a lot of people look at the artist and they're like, do they do it all? And that answer is no.
No,
You
not at
know?
all. No, shout out to my manager, Jared. That dude goes crazy. He works probably like 60 hours a week at least.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I definitely think like the managers of the world, I mean, anyone in music, I would like to say doesn't do it for the money, because they usually get coached out because they very quickly see the reality in that.
Yeah.
The managers really have to love it,
Yeah.
you know, especially
Absolutely.
to work with up and coming acts in an industry right now where growing as an up and coming act is really, really freaking hard.
Yeah.
No?
It is. It is. And I don't know, there's like some things to say on that. Like
Go for it.
there's
Go for it.
there's like a couple different routes you can take in that aspect, you know, because there's like the cookie cutter, like tried and true, like okay, like you can go in like focusing on this particular sound, like the heavy dubstep one, make a bunch of flips, it's gonna pop off on SoundCloud, and then you can go on from there and get signed by Wasserman or something.
Yep.
But yeah, or you could actually put the creative effort and time into your project and think of something that you want to be different and that you want to be like an expression of yourself and of the world around you, and like really, really take and put that intention into your project. And it's gonna take longer. Like absolutely is. Like it's taken me, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years to make a sustainable living out of this. Like I've been working the whole time up until it, and I wouldn't change a thing, to be honest. Like I sit so much better with myself knowing that I'm being able to fully express myself creatively than I am like trying to do something that people are gonna like.
Well, it's also like, you know, I think that everyone, when they start in this endeavor, they may not have it established in their head at that point in time of being like a beginner, but a career shelf life or like your aspirations as an artist are so different for everybody. And I think that what we said at the beginning, it's like the marathon versus the sprint. It's easy to look at it in a formula-based way and go, what is working now?
Yeah.
And what is working now is the age of nostalgia and taking samples and songs from the 90s and early 2000s, or songs that are popping off on, you know, your rap and your pop stations right now, and flipping it into, you know, some bass or tech house track and making some great content around it and saying, we're going to just power through and we're going to ride through the momentum. I fucking tried that. It doesn't leave me feeling too great.
No, it's not fulfilling to me at all either. I get that. And it's like not to rag on sample-based production because it's been around for ages, you know?
For ages.
And there's millions, not millions, but there's lots of people who do it really well. Like, I mean,
do it so well.
yeah, like Daily Bread, for example. Like he stays in his own lane, very original and very creative, but still like brings that sense of nostalgia by sampling old stuff. And there's ways to do it that are like really tasteful and really creative. And then there's ways to do it that just feel like people are trying to take a shortcut.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's always the thing with like trends
Mhm.
too. You know, you see subgenre based trends. Like I remember when like melodic rhythm and color bass popped the fuck off
Yeah, I don't even really like rhythm that much, but that shit was sick.
It was
Yeah.
super sick. You have all the resonators, you have like a bunch of different like modulation, and that's where like a lot of plugins that I feel like I still use to this day kind of like came to the forefront of just sound design. But it had its moment, and a lot of people hopped on the train. But then by the time you hop on the train and you learn how to do it, the train has moved on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So
Whereas if you just like focus all of your attention into what you want to be doing and not what is popular at the moment,
yeah,
and you have your whole lifetime, your whole career to figure that out and really hone in the points of that
absolutely.
instead of chasing what's popping. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people like everyone's journey is so different. You definitely have base points that you can kind of say, well, this person did this and they got them to the next stair step, and this person did this and this got them to the manager or the agency or so on and so forth. However, I think that there's a really important part when you start to emulate and copy and go to YouTube University and understand Vox Band and say, you know what, I'm going to make a tech house song, and then I'm going to make a drum and bass song, and I'm going to figure out what I like. And then you go, how can I make it me? Once you have to go through all of these different processes of elimination. And that's not even the part about learning how to do
I
it.
feel like that's the exploration phase of it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most fun parts. Honestly, if I could go back to any part in my music career, that would be it.
I
But-
still do that sometimes.
Yeah.
I still am like, that's how I kind of came about making a bunch of like drum and bass flips and just stuff that now are like staples in my sets. And I'm like, well, my voice actually goes way better with this, the dubstep. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, this definitely works. But it comes through exploration. I think there's like a time and place for it.
Mhm.
But that phase, I think, as an early on artist is so important. Like,
Mhm.
don't just like get set in something and say, this is it, this is the way. Unless you're like, I just want to make this a 3 to 5 year run. I wanna work as hard as I can. I'm gonna be great, and I'm gonna get these songs signed to Disciple Roundtable and Subsidia and all of the labels, and we're gonna do all the compilations, and we're gonna fast track it. But then don't expect to turn around and sell tickets.
Mhm.
You know, it's a totally there's like different kind of like pieces or buckets of the Venn diagram that cross over that you can say like, I want to be in this and I want to be in this and I want to be in this. But I think the artists right now that have chosen to take the long route, yourself included, are very artistic, experience-based individuals. And nothing's wrong, nothing's right. I think it just comes down to the vision that you have for yourself. And with you starting so early on in your life playing violin, just like, you know, Jason playing the piano, myself playing piano and singing, like you kind of have that from a really early age. Versus I was like never someone, like, did you fall in love with like the rave, or were you kind of like, this is really cool, but like I should be up there?
Definitely fell in love with the rave at
Okay.
first, and the festival party aspect of it. It was just so much fun. I'd never been through anything like that before. And yeah, I just kind of got absorbed into it. And then the music on top of it was all like music that I hadn't really heard before. And the sound design really struck an interest with me. And the ways that I was hearing people combine different elements of different kinds of music with each other to create these just like completely new genres was really interesting to me.
That's so sick. Yeah. I think everybody's story is like a little bit different, but it's definitely the whole like 10 years makes an overnight success kind of deal. And I think too, like when you're looking through the window of, you know, the game of comparison that we all very much so fall ill to and here or there. And I would like to think like this far in my journey, I've gotten a lot better at it, but you still have those moments. You have no idea how long somebody's been working for, you know, you have no idea what's behind the window of them, quote unquote, popping off. And now they're absolutely everywhere. And like, where in your career, did you feel like you started to have moments that were kind of breakthrough moments of like, oh, this is working, this is working? Because I feel like in your lane for a long time, it's like, does anybody care? Like, is this resonating with anyone? And then you kind of look behind you and you have a huge community of like fans and supporters.
Yeah, I feel like in between my second two albums, Journey East and Recurring Dreams, that I feel like is when the music really started to hit home for a lot of people. And I started seeing an uptick in bookings and festivals and things of that nature. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm onto the right track here. Like this might be the good blend that I'm looking for.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
may be the one. I think it's just like the consistency too. In your creative process, were you ever like, I need to put out a track a month or I need to put out an album a year? Was there anything under that contention, or do you just feel like you write all the time so you have music ready all the time?
So I've tried the track a month thing. That was a goal. I think last year we were shooting to do that, and it just felt forced. Like I'm a very slow writer, to be honest, and I know a lot of people write really fast. I don't know if you're one of those. Are you one of those
I am
people?
not one
No.
of those people.
Okay.
Oh, I am not one of those people.
Yeah,
And
me
I hold
neither.
on to things too.
Yeah.
You know, I'll really let it sit before I'm like, when I put out something that's rushed, I don't look at it as a success. And I think everybody's been there. You know, like you're like, I just have to put something out, or it's a remix for somebody or whatever.
Yeah, like my least favorite feeling ever is going back to listen to a track and being like, dang, I could have EQ'd that a little better. Or like that sound doesn't need to be in there. And like, what is this doing? You know, it's like I don't want to have regrets on it.
Totally get that, but I feel like the average consumer doesn't care.
Yeah, and there's also a flip side to it too, where you don't want to be such a perfectionist that you hold on to stuff that's ready to go. Yeah, so you have to find like a happy medium where it's like, all right, this sounds really good and I'm out of ideas, so off it goes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I feel like you're really good at like creating, you know, kind of what we talked about, going into everything from like the conceptualized headline shows to the EPs coming and the album and everything. You're great at creating universes. So like, let's talk about that. Like, how do you start to approach creating the world in which your bodies of work live in?
Yeah, so growing up, I've always been a big fan of literature. I read a lot when I was a kid. I still read a decent amount now. I just have a really deep respect for world building and all the different elements of it that come into play. And I think the project that I'm taking on right now, with these two EPs and album to come, and the book that I'm writing along with it, is probably the most in depth that I've ever gone in that before. And it's been really challenging, but really fun. Prior to this, though, I've really focused on taking like one experience and basing the album around it. Like the Journey East, that album was about my time that I spent in Asia, Vietnam, and Thailand mostly. And there was lots of little moments in there that I wanted to try and capture through music. So I like just try and pick something and fixate on that and build around it. Like Recurring Dreams after that was built on this recurring dream that I've had haven't had it recently, but for a long time growing up, I had this one recurring dream and I kind of just walked through it like step by step in the album.
Damn, that's crazy. That's literally the whole reoccurring dream thing. I think more people have that than we realize sometimes. When I was a little kid, I had the same dream like every night.
Yeah, and I've heard this theory that it's like you get them more when you're younger because that's still when you have a little bit of like the reminiscent knowledge from your past life, and then it fades away as you grow older.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That got deep. That got deep just a little bit. Yeah, I mean it's definitely, I love conceptual things, and I think I try and have a balance because I'll spend a whole year writing something conceptually and creating the universe, and then I'm like, a whole year's gone by and we haven't really done much, and here we are
pouring all the time into it. Yeah.
and we're like creating this universe. So it's like definitely a balance of, okay, this year let's play the label game and let's do compilations and let's, you know, try and work with people that we've aspired to work with, and then okay, let me go off the rails and let me do my own thing. Do you kind of try and find that balance too, or you're just at a point where you're like, F it, I'm gonna just build and build and build? Because
that's kind of the point that I'm at right now.
Yeah,
I mean, I spent
you have
probably
a lot on your plate.
Yeah, it's fun though. I like to play loaded. It keeps things fun. But before this, I had worked on these the most recent EP that I put out and the one that's coming in a few months. I've been working on those for maybe like 6 months or so.
Okay.
And then once those were squared away, I was like, all right, there's material to come out for like the first half of next year. Now I can really sit down like with plenty of time ahead of me and like dive into this project head on. So like trying to like get myself a little bit ahead of the curve in the release schedule, and then I give myself time to really work on those bigger projects.
That's smart. That's an intelligent move, Josh. I should take your advice. I definitely feel like when you're doing those conceptual projects, you have to alleviate and leave yourself time.
Yeah, you don't want outside stressors, and you don't want things that are going to make you rush it, and you just want to be able to have that full creative like playground with it, and be able to explore every different venue with it that you want to. I mean, we're looking at doing different forms of media with this one that we've never tried, like writing a book. I don't know, I've never written a book in my life, but I've written a whole lot over my life, so I think it'll be really fun, and I've got a lot of ideas to explore in it. And then we kind of want to adapt it to like a visual form of media after that, whether that be like anime or some kind of live action thing, but we want to take it there too.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, hell yeah. It's like, is there anything else you can tell us?
Not yet.
You're like,
No.
no, I can't.
Told you more than I was supposed to already.
Okay, man. All right. Well, at least we're getting like the exclusive look here. That's a lot of music. That's a lot of like mediums of media that are being created, and I'm sure it's, you've got quite a team behind you, and it's cool when you have, a manager that's very understanding too, because I think that, us talking about people moving off of momentum and it kind of being like a do as much as you can in as a little amount of time, make everything kind of sound the same and start the next project off a file, save as new project, keep the same drums. That's not what you're doing here. You're being really, you're moving with like intention through the DAW. And I think that takes like an understanding group of people around you to be like,
does.
all right,
Yeah.
we're in this for like the creation facet. And from like a point of view of fans, have you had certain interactions or certain things at festivals or things that have happened with your music that have really like stood with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to hear about
Yeah, I think like one of the most beautiful things to me is the inspiration that music can bring with it. And it just like warms my heart immensely every time I meet somebody after and they say like, I used to play violin when I was younger and I saw your set and I picked it back up. And like if you can inspire people to like bring that music and creativity into their lives, I think that's one of the best things we can do with it. So that always sticks with me when I hear that.
I love that.
Mhm.
And with like the violin in general, you don't typically think of like violin, dubstep, violin, bass music. How do you combine the two? Like how do you manipulate it? If you want to get technical, go on and get technical. If you don't want to get technical, it's totally cool. But how, like from day one, have you shaped your compositions around you playing the violin?
It was definitely like a learning curve with it.
Mm-hmm.
Finding ways to work that really made it feel cohesive and not like they were forced together. Not like you're just trying to put something where it doesn't belong. You have to be really tasteful with where you're going to use it. Like there's some points in songs that are like full of really heavy synths and like heavier elements and it just clashes and doesn't fit well.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to accept that like, all right, this isn't going to fit. I'm not going to try and make it fit.
Yeah.
And just let the track breathe as it is and put the violin somewhere else here in another track. Like you don't have to be so married to it that you're going to try and put it in everything that you do. Because there's plenty of things that just it's not going to fit with.
No.
Yeah. But then look, from a more technical standpoint, it's just kind of like a matter of carving out space within the mix. Like the violin takes up a lot, like between like 5 to 700 with like the low end warmth, and then like on the upper register of it, like the 3 to 7K range too. So like if you're using other synths and things that you're going to layer with it, you just want to carve a little space out for it to sit there.
Side chaining is your best friend.
Yeah.
Little subtractive EQing, side chaining going on. I don't know if you use this plugin, but my actually one of my students put me on to a plugin called Track Spacer.
Never heard of it.
And it's like the gods of sidechain land made this like incredible plugin that just does it. It's wild, and it's crazy too to get into like the conversation of like AI and music.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on
Honestly,
that?
I haven't really explored it much aside from like using it as a tool when it comes to like stem splitting.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
But yeah, aside from that, I haven't really used it in the DAW or anything, but I know there's some artists out there like there's this one guy called The Human Experience.
Okay.
Okay, he's more in like the indie kind of like house side of things.
Cool.
But yeah, I think he did like 3 albums just like using AI.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. I don't think it's coming for our jobs, but I definitely think that there's a time and place in which it can help. And
Yeah.
I think there's a time and place in which it kind of hollows out creativity. So you kind of have that balance and that toss up. And
Yeah.
with your live setup, are you playing on CDJs or are you running things through your computer? Like how
Yeah,
do
so
you
I do CDJs and then I run the violin through a guitar effects pedal.
Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that like has all the effects on it, like compression, reverb, overdrive, EQ, all that. So it cuts out the middleman, the
That-
sound guy for the most part.
That's very lovely. I think that's a very wise choice. It's always interesting going into, well, you do exactly what Evolution does, Evan. He has the guitar pedal and he just travels with that and his instrument and he's good to go. I feel like with a live element in a nightclub space, the more that you can take out and just control everything on your own.
Yeah, because you never know what you're gonna get in terms of sound. And
No.
yeah, one other thing for like any other violinists who are picking it up that I would recommend is switching to an electric violin, because the acoustics really pick up like any feedback that comes from the monitors or from like outside sound. It's gonna get refracted through the acoustic, and you're gonna get all kinds of really shitty feedback.
I feel like this comes from experience.
Oh, it sure does. Yeah.
Like this definitely comes from a good tip of experience. From like the festivals that you've played definitely like DIY, deeper festivals.
Yeah, I played both ends of the spectrum. Yeah.
Two very commercialized festivals.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your Lost Lands set, because that set looked crazy. It was at the Crater 360 stage, which is a new stage at Lost Lands. How was it?
I mean, first off, that was like completely nowhere close to my bingo card for the year.
Yes.
We were not expecting to get a call from Lost Lands at all, because I don't know, I really like dubstep, but the majority of the music I make doesn't really fit with their MO, or at least what I thought was their MO.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool to get an offer to kind of go do what I do on a bigger stage in front of people who don't necessarily hear it often.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I had a pretty rough time conflict too. Like I was playing at the same time as both Excision, Nero, and Manic Focus.
Whoa.
I think, yeah, and to like see a packed house in there during that was really special.
Oh,
yeah,
that's so cool. I saw a ton of people post about you after that set, just like on various channels, and I was like, let's fucking go.
Yeah,
like,
that
this
was
is
cool.
awesome. It's kind of one of those moments where you're like, this is sweet. And I feel like having the live element in the 360 setup is just so cool.
Yeah. And I kind of went into it with like a mindset too of like, well, I'm going to go do what I'm going to do, what I usually do. And if they don't like it, okay. But if they do like it, I think it'll be something really sweet. And yeah, I think they liked it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely like a play on that, because we're in such like an interesting space where we have enough music to play a whole set of our own original stuff, but you also want to like make sure the crowd fucks with it.
Yeah.
But you also want to stick true to your vision and your like artistic integrity. And where do you lay in that?
I feel like when you get opportunities like that in front of like bigger crowds than you normally would, in front of a lot of people who are not necessarily familiar with your stuff, I think it's really important to lean into your original sound and to what you want to do. Because if you don't and you try and cater to the crowd, then it's just going to be like, oh yeah, it's just another dubstep set. Like, yeah, I saw a million of those that weekend. But if you do something that's unique and like uniquely yourself, especially, then I think it'll really resonate with people.
Absolutely.
It's a daunting thing.
It's daunting.
For sure.
That's how you get like real fans, in my opinion. I've always said that, like, I would always prefer the 100 people that are like die hard. We have the merch. We're going to buy the tickets. We're going to support and share and spread the word, than the 1,000 people that go, yeah, she's cool. Yeah, he's cool. Like, played a cool set here. Cause I've definitely been in positions before. And I don't know if you have as well, where I'm like, I'm opening for this person and I really don't think my music is going to go super well with this. Like, this is like, do I find a happy medium? Do I cater, or do I do whatever? I mean, same thing with like the Halo dates that I just did. I'm like, we are so not the same.
I'm not super familiar with her music. Like, what does she do?
She was the vocalist on like Where You Are for John Summit and Escape with Cascade and
Okay.
John Summit and like Kygo, and also did like Subfocus is her fiance or boyfriend, and she's done a bunch of drum and bass tracks with him and like Dimension, and she's from London, and these were her first stateside shows.
Oh, that's really cool. You got to be a part of it.
It was phenomenal. She probably was one of the best artists I've ever seen live.
Wow.
Which is
Okay.
very, I don't say that. Like I literally don't say that. There's not, unfortunately, there are not many people in the space that I see that my socks are blown off. I'm like what you said at the beginning. We are in a very saturated industry. A lot of people, it's a carbon copy, rinse and repeat type of formula based deal.
Mhm.
And when you see people do what she did, and it sounds better than the original, and it's just impeccable.
Mhm.
It was such a cool deal to be a part of what she was. But when we got that offer that I was not expecting, I was just like, are they gonna expect like a tech house DJ opener? And I was like, this is really weird. And I said, I need to do my own thing. I need to play my own music. And I did like a set list, not really a DJ set. I did a set list, and it probably was the best pairing I've had in the last 2 years.
It's amazing. Did you focus more on the vocals?
All vocals.
Yep.
Yeah. It was really cool how that kind of just works out sometimes. And you stick to your artistic integrity.
Yeah, and it gives you a lot of room for interpretation within it too. Like, for example, I was opening for this artist Ott. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I love Ott. He's a
pioneer.
creative wizard.
Yes.
Really. Yeah. And his music's a lot more on the chill tip, and a lot of mine isn't necessarily on that, but I've got plenty of music that is too. So I definitely had the opportunity to lean more into that chill side than I normally would at headline events or like opening for other artists.
Yeah.
And really explore different methods. Like I was live looping on the violin a lot more on that than I have on anything else. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. It's like a matter of like taking the opportunity and looking at it and being like, all right, well, how can I explore my sound, but like kind of shift it a little bit to fit the assignment?
Exactly.
You know?
Being like, I've put out records or I've worked on records that don't normally fit for the average booking their offer that I get or tour that I'm on. And this is an opportunity to do something different that is also authentic to me. And in that case, you walk away and you're like, wow, this was way better than anything I've been a part of.
Yeah, it feels like unlocking a different thing for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it makes you look at things differently. I was like, I feel like I like fires lit under my ass. I'm like, let's fucking go. Because when you have shows like that and you get such a positive response, I think it really shows you that like, okay, there are people out there who really would like this if it was done more. And you just have so many people doing the same thing that you just don't often get to explore that, you know? And it's cool when we kind of do what we do in our respective rights and get to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, and like sometimes it's not even like you're not getting to do it. It's like you're not even thinking about doing it. Like it hadn't really crossed your mind until you're presented with the opportunity to try and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, like I thought this was gonna go terribly. And it was awesome. And I think that's the fun thing about making different types of music from the get-go and being like, I'm not gonna pigeonhole myself in this box. And I also feel like, you know, a lot of your growth came from, you know, you have a really good voice, I think, on social media platforms in a world where a lot of people don't use their voice, or it's just kind of a streamline of here's my music, check it out kind of deal. And have you always been like, this is my power, and the more that I grow as an artist, I have a right to speak? Or like, where did that kind of come from?
It came from my parents, to be honest. Like both of them were always very politically active when I was a kid, and like going to protests and all kinds of things, and like dragging me and my brother along with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're very, very progressive, forward-thinking people.
For sure.
Open-minded to a lot of different concepts, and they've always had like a very strong sense of just like kindness and compassion for the people around them. I appreciate that a lot from them. I think it's rubbed off on me throughout life. I mean, we live in probably one of the more chaotic times that I can remember.
I think so.
And I don't know, I feel like we as musicians have bigger platforms than some people out there do. And it's a shame to not use that to try and address some of the things that are going on or try and play a little part in it.
I totally agree with you. I think the impact that we have, anything, politically, motivational wise, like just your outlook on life, you don't realize how many people you're impacting. And I think obviously music is that number one block
Yeah.
of that impact form. But we live in a world where everybody's got their faces in their phones, and we kind of have a window of opportunity to do something more than that if you want.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very cool thing that I think has grown alongside your growth as an artist. I always see you on Facebook and I'm like, he's going off, but people like love it. And I always let and people feel the same way. And I think it's hard for a lot of people to articulate it in a tasteful, elegant way.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't even need to be that. Like, you just
Or just talking and feeling comfortable enough to just say what's on your mind.
Yeah.
And I think you set a really cool example of that within our space.
Yeah, and to me, it's about doing more than just the social media thing too, because it's a great start.
Mhm.
It's a really great way to get people talking and start the conversation about what needs to change and what needs to happen. But then the actual difference comes in like when we put our feet in the dirt and actually start doing things.
100%.
Like I placed a big focus over the last few years on hosting charity drives at a lot of the headlining shows for tours that I've done. We do here and there like pop-up free shows for fundraising purposes on things. And like the last couple of years when it's been really shitty out in the winter here, like people will donate money and then we'll go out and buy supplies for people who need it and like the homeless shelters and camps and things and bring people jackets and stuff. I don't know. To me, it's just like it's about looking out for each other because the government's not going to do it. And fucked if the government's going to do anything but look out for their pockets right now. So it kind of falls onto us to do it for each other.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's what like the rave community was based on.
Yeah.
Like you kind of go back to Plur, which is like so quote unquote. But I think that anyone who's fallen in love with this music, it's often come because of the community before the actual music. And I think that that's beautiful because you don't see that in a lot of other genres. Like the
Yeah.
way that when we all got into it, we were all like misfits that didn't really fit in. And you kind of all had a place where you could convene and listen to music and have a cool community. And now it's become obviously like this conglomerate deal that is awesome because it leads to the growth of us.
Yeah.
But
like the cap of growth is off now because of the corporatization.
100%. However, I think it's really important now for new ravers and young ravers to keep that. Because if they just let it go, then it's gonna turn into something that it was never supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll turn into like any of the other genres that don't have that sense of community to it. Yeah.
Yes. I read somewhere the other day that electronic dance music is going to profit $23.4 billion this year. And I still think about the offers that my friends and I all get. And I'm like, God damn it. And it's just, and it's that's it. I'm like, okay, guys, something's missing here. If everybody who's been working for X amount of time and is putting out great records is still hardly getting by.
Yeah. Seriously.
And I think it's like when you get to that point where you get to be a headliner, I've always practiced, it's kind of like you practice what you preach. You take care of the people underneath you. I think we've all been through it, and it's kind of, it reminds me of like a fraternity or a sorority. It's part of like the initiation process where you go on tours and get paid like shit, but you play to amazing rooms and you have awesome opportunities. But I think there's a point in which when you are the person calling the shots, you get to pay that forward.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a balance, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much money it takes to tour.
Mhm.
And then how much, an up and coming act goes in the red for years and years. And
it's crazy to me though, because like looking at some of these tour expenses, right? And you're seeing these people be like, okay, well, we're barely breaking even on this. But then you're looking at like some of the booking fees that they're pulling in, and it's like, well, how is this happening? And then you look at the expenses, and it's like, well, do you really need the $1 million tour bus?
Yeah.
Like that's eating away, $1 million out of your tour profits. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, if you need to bring supplies, sure. Like rent a U-Haul. But I don't think at any point in my career I can see myself renting a tour bus. It doesn't seem like a very sustainable thing for your profit margins.
It's crazy. It's wild when you see like the reality of somebody getting paid $500,000 for a DJ set, which is
where
a
it all
reality,
goes. Yeah.
which is a reality, and then them walking away and saying, we made $50K. It's crazy. But everything's expensive. I get both sides of it. It's like, and we're in a lane where everybody wants everything. We want cryo, we want the lasers, and we want the PK sound system on crack, and we want, like, and it's all like, the bigger that you get, the more you're expected to invest. So you look at those margins and you go, okay, even though my fee now is 7-8K, well, now I'm putting 6K. So I'm really making 2K.
Yeah.
So I'm really where I was 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I think it's really important though to like take a step back sometimes and like look at that from an outside perspective. Like bringing in all these extra production elements adds to the show. But like any great show that I've been to, the thing that really makes it stick out to me is the music. Like how good is the music? Like is it a performance that's blowing me away? Then that's not going to matter if there's a million fucking lasers in the room. If there's a huge LED screen. If the performance is great, then the performance is great.
And I think there's like a beauty in like a minimal approach. Like, I'm over LED walls. I'm so fucking over them. And like, they're awesome. And I think they're great for a lot of artists. Example, again, I'm just going to rave on it because it was just so fucking incredible. Hayla didn't have an LED wall. She built a stage, like a backdrop like you would build, and put like almost like mesh material.
I think I saw a picture of it.
Yeah, mesh material.
Yeah.
And had like 3 light bars. And it was the coolest setup I've seen in a really long time. Even to someone like Skrillex, he comes to Red Rocks. He's got hanging lights that you buy at fucking Target, in the trees and around the stage. And it's the coolest night of electronic dance.
And he's not going home making nothing.
No.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for just like staying within your means and doing what you can.
Music. The music is like the brick. Like, are we building the show on brick or are we building it of like straw? Like, because it's really easy to spend all the money and get your hands on all of these things. I think it's really hard to create a meaningful, lasting experience that people will remember because of the music.
Yeah, and that just comes from the performance, not from the surroundings of it.
Amen. Fuck yeah. I 100% agree. 100% agree. So, okay, is there any, you said you've told us everything and that you've already said too much, but when it comes to like your creative process and how you're approaching, which is something I can't even wrap my head around, writing 2 EPs and an album and a whole book and maybe an anime deal, like how do you start creating that? Like how do you even approach it?
Well, you make an outline, first of all. You kind of like get the gist of what your story is going to entail. And you kind of give yourself some bones to fill in the rest of the story around it. Like I have no idea what's gonna like be the all in the little details within the story, but I know where it's gonna start, where it's gonna end, and each of the little steps that it's gonna take. But I haven't fleshed out the details yet, so I give myself that outline to work from, and that helps a lot.
Okay.
And then one thing that I've really been appreciating in this project, especially, is like sometimes I don't feel like making music, and like if I don't feel like making music, I can go work on the book. And like
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's super important too. Just in general, as an artist, have another hobby that is not making music.
Yeah, because then you're not going to want to make music all the time. And then the second you don't want to make it, you're going to start beating yourself up. Be like, oh, I'm not working and I'm not doing my job. I'm like, it's okay. There's so much more to life. Like, be multifaceted. Yeah.
I definitely feel like I'm in a position now for the first time in a very long time where I'm like, it's kind of interesting how you can wake up and you can kind of not slave away, because what we do is privilege. You can work the 200-hour work weeks and do everything, or you find a way to instill balance and you kind of live this really lovely life and you still get just as much done. That was a really hard thing for me to get over for a long time, and I'm just like, if you don't instill balance now, you're gonna look behind you and say, why didn't I enjoy like the things that I should enjoy in life,
Yeah.
Because I feel like you can only write art when you experience things and when you have like things to inspire you and motivate you. If you're just looking at your bedroom closet with your clothes hanging every single day, it's really hard to go out there and have relationships or friendships or experiences happen to you that make you inspired enough to come home and write.
Yeah, and that's like it comes with the territory of music, but it's a really consuming job. It takes up, you never know, like people are going to be hitting you up all hours of the day. Just like sometimes it's hard to take a break from it and unplug a little bit. But I feel like the last couple months I've been really focusing on making sure that music is not everything.
Yes.
And there's lots of time in the day, if you make it, for doing other things like spending time with the people you love and going out and doing things that enrich your life in other ways outside of music. Like been fucking with rock climbing a little bit. That's pretty fun.
Love that.
Yeah, just like doing things that get you out of the flow of your normal routine. Yeah.
That was the best thing too. I didn't realize you were from Jacksonville, but
Mhm.
like I was not I don't think I was supposed to be in Florida. Like nothing in Florida ever vastly intrigued me, but the water. Love the water, love fishing. Not a beach girl, but like could find things there. Here, when I moved here, probably just because it was new and I'd never been in a climate like this, I'm like hiking every day. I'm going snowboarding 3 or 4 times a week. And I think that is such a mental, it's just healthy. It's healthy for me to maintain that mental capacity to be able to do other things and then come back like refreshed and rejuvenated and not just like beat your head against the wall day after
Yeah.
day. It's hard because you can get into that really easily.
Yeah, it's like if you put all your eggs in one basket and you drop that basket, you're fucked, right? Yeah.
That's actually lovely. That's such a good little analogy. I'm all with it. Okay, all right. So we have really exciting things coming up. You're about to start tour with Daily Bread. You're working on an album, 2 EPs, more conceptual headline events. Really, really big year ahead. Is there anything in specific that you can tell us you're really excited for that you haven't told us about yet?
That I haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well,
We're looking.
Boxes, but
Yeah, we're looking towards the end of this year for. I mean, there was realistically probably going to be a tour that comes with the album, and really looking at ways that we can integrate more live elements into that tour.
Cool.
Like being on a Pacha's tour really left me with a lot of inspiration when I came out of that. So maybe exploring like different combinations of string players and brass players and vocalists, drummers, everybody kind of worked into the set. I think that's something that I'm really looking forward to this year.
That's so exciting. Oh, that's so exciting. I think we both just got off of things that were really inspirational to us because that doesn't happen all the time.
No,
You know?
and when you get it, you have to run with it.
You gotta run with it. I was literally just like upstairs last night on the balcony watching her set. I was like, this was so fucking good. I was like, I almost like needed this. I was like, you could have paid me nothing and I still would have been like, this was great. Like it was one of those experiences where you're like, this can be done in a way that can be sellable.
Yeah.
You know, and you're
Yeah.
like, this is really, really fucking cool. Before I let you go, I'm gonna do a little speed round with you.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into it. Well, I always say it's a speed round and then I just start talking. So I really don't do well at it.
Okay.
We're gonna do it. Josh TEED, speed round, Lizzie Jane podcast. All right. If you could back to back with any artist, doesn't matter about the genre, who would it be?
DMVU.
Ooh, I had him in the seat last year. It was very, very
That
cool.
was a fun
Look,
talking
I'm
bit.
talking. Yeah, he's out there. I love him. He's so good. Must have item on your rider.
Celsius.
Oh yes, those bang. Those are like my go-to mountain drinks. I
Yeah.
am Celsius. I'm like, I'm ready to rip. I'm ready to go. It's the best.
Yeah, it's my lifeblood.
I love it. As we have Red Bull on the table. Yeah, hush, hush.
Yeah, I'm a trader. It's all
No,
right.
it's fine. It's okay. We're traders. I had Miles O'Neill, Shaq's son, on here the other day. He just got a deal with Monster, and he's like, I can't have that in front of me. And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, oh, my bad. Favorite brand to wear?
Favorite brand to wear? Man, I don't really know. I'm not even like brand loyal, to be honest. I feel like the majority of the clothes I own are just other people's merch.
I love that, though. Yeah, we got the Josh TEED merch shirt on.
Mhm.
That's like typical EDM artist fashion. Everybody wears their own merch. I love it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm really like brand loyal to any brand in
Okay.
particular. Yeah.
I like the Jordans, right? These are Jordans.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
always been a bit of a sneakerhead. So
Okay.
like, yeah,
Okay.
Jordan's a little bit, Converse here and there. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I'm a Converse girl. Converse and really Nikes. Yeah, for sure. That's kind of my streamline. We fuel the fashion through the shoes. It's always shitty because I'm always like, sometimes I'll wear like a very bland outfit, but I have like baller shoes. And I'm like, I wish people could see it. And then you get up there and there's like a curtain and no one can see it. And it's fine. What is your favorite piece of music you've released?
Woo. All right, that's a tough one. Probably my EP called Taking It All In. Yeah, it was so different from anything I've put out, like super, super vibey, very chill. I don't know if I'll ever put out anything like it again, to be honest, for a long time, but that one's got a special spot for me.
Cool. I love it.
Mm.
2 pieces of advice for an upcoming artist.
Oh man, 2 pieces of advice. It's a tough one because there's so many that I want to give, but
Yeah, I
if
know.
I had to pick 2 off the bat, first one would be not to rush yourself and to allow yourself the room to explore.
Mhm.
I think that's so important. And the other one would be to not let people's outside opinions influence what you do. Like, as long as, well, one of the most vulnerable parts of being an artist is like putting what you create out there for the world to see and judge. And there's going to be some people who have the shit to talk, and you can't just like look at some random comment somewhere on like Reddit or Instagram or something and be like, oh, dang, well, so and so didn't really like what I put out. I guess I'm going to do something different. Fuck that. No, it doesn't matter. As long as what's doing resonates with you, it doesn't matter who it resonates with. So just stay true to yourself and don't let people's shit talking gets you.
Love it.
Yeah.
We'll end on that note. Josh T, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I greatly appreciate it.
Hey, likewise.
Yes, thank you. Bye, guys.
Pull up my selector. Play back, John.